Pokken is such an underrated fighting game.
Hello everybody, FGC Nerd here, and welcome back to another discussion video. You guys really liked it when I posted my discussion on SSJ Goku on Reddit. So I promised myself I would do another character that really sucks, instead of someone probably that I would have more fun discussing the pros about, but I picked probably, and arguably, the worst character in the game, Videl. So I'm gonna get into the training mode and I'll show you, I'll talk about Videl. Okay, so now that we're in training, let's talk about what Videl is decent at least. Videl is actually a decent point character, pretty much like Bardock, how she's got some pretty good stuff, surprisingly. And the first thing that she's got really good is mix-ups, which is very surprising given that some of her other problems, and I'll get to those later. Her 2-2 X series, the down, light, medium, heavy, is pretty decent. It's good cross-up instantly, command cross-up. She also has it in access to her light Rekka, or her medium Rekka. If you do the M input, you do the same thing, mid Rekka. And then she has a command grab, which is also super nice. And that's on light, or EX Rekka follow-up. Yeah, right, there we go. And then she also has a DP. And if I set the enemy here to counterattack with a light after blocking, I can do a frame 1 invincible counter super that actually takes away health. If you look at UI Goku's, oh whoops, if I switch back to Videl for a second here and set the health bar settings to no recovery, it's frame 1, and also it takes a portion of their life and has less recoverable blue life than UI Goku if I was to switch to him, but I'm not going to because it's a hassle on my fight stick. Let me rephrase what I said. Videl's counter is unique from other counter supers in the game. If hit raw, they deal damage, but all of it is recoverable, even UI Goku's. Except Videl. Hers is frame 1 like Reflect, but now it gives roughly 20% blue life back, going off of the video footage. I still stand on changing controls on fight sticks, specifically the Mayflash F500. Ironically, there's not enough buttons that can be mapped. Anyways, she also has the flips that are +5, or more if you know your opponent attacks. So if I just let him block, that's +5, which is not bad, but I guess it still considers someone in the air. Oh, but it's now +6 on block. So yeah, you can use it to gain plus frames, which is pretty nice if the opponent blocks it. Then she also has, she has an okay Q Blast. She has Saiyaman, which is okay as a projectile. She calls him in at different places. And then she also has, if I remember her moveset correctly, she has changing properties on her command grab, allows her for combos, stuff like that. Here's where she sucks. And this is kind of like the top, these next three you can kind of combine together. Unsafe normals, bad block strings, and really bad frame data. I mean, look at her light jab. She is reaching for the stars there. She's not gonna, she looks like she could barely hit GT Goku if I could properly switch characters around. So like, that whiffs. That whiffs at like, here. Like the fist is not even barely connecting with GT Goku's hair in order to hit. So yeah, that's not good. She's got gaps like 5M into 2M is not a true gap. It's like a 5-frame gap, I think. Her Rekkas have gaps, of course. The second hit follow-up of the light is a gap. Of course, obviously, medium is an immediate gap. The EX is, of course, also a has a gap, but it's a command grab, so it's kind of, it makes sense at least in that way if they decide to block, but if they mash, you know, you're gonna explode. Now, another major problem with Videl is her stubby normals. Like, you are not, that cross-up jail is not a good, like, hitbox. So if I, like, oh wait, if I EX command, that barely works, and you can see it was really reaching there for the game. Now the next thing is that for 2H, she barely moves forward, and it's a vertical hitbox. It's quite literally a Kid Buu 2H, and if I take the health settings back to normal, and force the opponent here to 2H on block, see, both are arguably really bad. Like, they barely, they have a whiff war, and Videls can lose, so yeah, it's pretty bad. Now the next thing is she does not have good damage. If I set the training settings and I have 0 bar, but I have both assists, her normal BMB, whoops, I did the wrong input for BMB, 1 second. You can see there, I barely build a bar of meter with the standard BMB, and I barely do 400k. Barely 400k. That's like 400 points of 4k. That is not good. That's like a 4-touch game with Videl when your opponent can just 2-touch you, with the best case example being Kid Buu and UI Goku here. They can just hit Videl once, and she's just really bad. It's really bad for her to get hit. And plus, as I mentioned before, with the bad block strings, you know, the unsafe normals, the bad frame data, it means that if she loses pressure immediately from, you know, the, from getting hit, it's really gonna be hard to struggle back. And probably the reason why, and this is probably the crown reason why she's not played at all, and why she's debated to be like the worst character in the game, or unanimously in the bottom tier, is because of her spot dodge instead of reflect. Oh boy! So, couple reversal like sparking, right? So if your opponent blocks, and then if I set them to spark here, if I set it to spark, counterattack settings, guard all, and like, now if they followed up immediately with a super dash, I would practically explode, because now I'm in a very bad situation with Videl. Videl really has to have that momentum going. She's one of those snowball characters in this game, like Ginyu as like the king example now because of Goichi, right? He now has got, once you get the ball rolling with Ginyu, especially with the Ginyu Force squad and, you know, the knockdowns, he's really hard to stop because there's just so much you have to block against. Nappa's another example where, you know, once their pressure is up and, you know, their neutral's over and you're in a block string, you don't know what to do, and it's hard to handle because it's so good. Videl can be like that. There's definite potential to be like that with, like, you know, the cross-up, the Rekkas, the Saiyaman, and there's a lot of stuff that's working for her, but coupled with the no reflect and low damage, she doesn't do anything. She does okay, but not great. In the sense that, you know, Bardock is the same kind of character. He's got the same assist in the Lariat attack, right? And then he also has great damage. He has great neutral. He's also a well-rounded character. His Lariat is performable in the air, like Videl's, but it's also multiple directions, far-reaching, and beats Super Dash. Videl's doesn't beat Super Dash, to my knowledge. Now, Another problem, and so here it comes all back to this. No reflect. Just this dodge that she stays in place and just, you know, becomes invincible, right? It's like her DP, right? She's invincible like her DP. As long as she's in the stance. Well, if I go into my button settings and actually switch to character, no, not play, it's record, right. Let's go back, and now let's go to info. I'm going to turn on the dummy info for now. Okay, so if I click this, and you can see I'm controlling Kid Buu. UI Goku has a counter, or parry in my case, I like to call it, in 6H, where if I set the opponent to light and block, if I set the opponent to block, that's another thing, stubby normals. Wow, I need to do a different normal. I'm gonna try medium. Okay. Yeah, okay, that'll work. So, if I just jab, he goes behind them. It's a better counter, or it's not a spot dodge counter. You actively get, you get not only not plus in this, yeah, you get plus in this situation, and also now you're behind your opponent, and you can possibly get them to panic vanish and then 2H into TOD, right? Anyways, Videl, if... Whoa, what? I'm actually trying to spot dodge, and I can't. I think the reason why it didn't work is because the spot dodge starts on frame 4? Any Videl mains come up to confirm my theory in the comments below. In any case, now on top of the spot dodge just giving away invincibility when it's active, she has a window of opportunity where the opponent can just deck her in the knees with a 2M and TOD her. I guess Arxis saw this and thought locking a frame 1 move to a 1-bar super and a DP that you can vanish to confirm or make safe would counteract this, and safe is in quotations here. Technically, on paper, this could work when paired with good frame data. Videl just doesn't have that. I got it, and you can now see the problem Videl has. Now, if I set the enemy to reflect, you can see that normal reflex push your opponent a set distance away so that now you're resetting, in a sense, neutral, unless it's a gapless. And now you have to win neutral all over again, and you have to either, you know, counter it with a Dragon Rush, all that stuff, right? Well, as you saw there, well, apparently in addition to not having a reflect that you can't even pull out mid-combo. Okay, I think I know what I need to do now. I need to just do... Okay, now if I just tap him with Sandman. Yep, there we go. Okay, so not only is the spot dodge really bad to time, as you can see, I get blown up by Kid Buu just waiting there. Okay, I need to do it. I need to just wait a second. I don't play Videl often, so that's why you kind of see the problem here of me just not getting it. Okay, I'm doing it way too early. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, did it wrong yet again. There you go. I did it. She's now plus 20. Remember, reflect is supposed to put you back to neutral. And now Kid Buu's in Videl's face, ready to just EX Buu baller. Yeah. That's really bad, Arxis. That's really, really bad. The reason why this doesn't work is because of, like I said, the pushback. It's supposed to open a gap between you so that you can properly respace and, like, readjust to set back to neutral again, like I'm saying. And Videl now doesn't have that with the spot dodge, and now everything that your opponent can do can possibly be 0 in your face, or zero, or not zero, plus an in your face, and now Videl is stuck in the corner. She can't get out unless she jumps and does her light Rekka or something, or her command grab out. Now they're in her face, and now how are you supposed to regain pressure when your opponent wins when you try to reflect them? Or shall I say, try to spot dodge their attack. She's no longer plus, and now your opponent's breathing down your neck, and she has nowhere to run. She's now stuck blocking for trying to be defensive and get out of the situation, right? And if I just record EXP Ball here and tap him, now that's not the same, but if I tap backdash, now they're still in my face, and now, even though I could technically mash here, I'm going to explode. This is just the problem of Videl. This is all centered around this big problem of the reflect. At the beginning of Season 2, she and Jiren had a little test run, per se, by ArcSys. They wanted to try something new. They wanted to see how unique they can make their characters, I guess. Or, like, you know, testing the limits on, oh, what would make this character good? Or, you know, what would be interesting to set them apart from the cast? With Videl, she got the spot dodge, and with Jiren, he got 5H. That's a command grab. Needless to say, both did not work. These are big problems with these characters. And now, I'm not gonna vouch for Jiren right now, because I honestly don't play Jiren. I actually have never touched Jiren, and probably won't in the next few years. But Videl, I kind of mess around with. I mean, like, I want to play her. I want to play her. I think Great Sandman as, like, an assist call is cool, because at the same time, I like Android 18. Less Ginyu, but Android 18 mostly. And now, she's just so bad. But let's think about this and how we could fix it. Arguably, the number one thing that has to happen, and I don't care if, like, ArcSys is like, but that's gonna be so much work. I don't care. It's personally the biggest thing that she needs right now. She needs a real reflect. One that pushes characters away from her and reset neutral. And so, she needs to have 4S back as a reflect and move the spot dodge to, like, maybe 6S. That way, the character does not need to... She could still have this spot dodge attack, but now it's only an option. Whereas, now you can have a reflect, and then you can reset neutral and all that stuff, and it's all dandy and great. The next thing that they need to fix is they do need to fix some of her frame data, just to make it a little bit more safer. I'm not saying save all of it, like the gaps in the Rekkas, some of them can go away. Also, the cross-up, I understand has a gap, that makes sense. The EX grab, that makes sense too. Maybe just lower the timing just a tiny bit. And then, also, I forgot to mention earlier, is that her mix-ups have really terrible scaling for moves. So now, she got the hit, but now she's not working up that racking up that damage to kill a character from it. So now that's another thing. We need to give her better starters. So obviously 2M is a good starter. It doesn't need to change. We need to give her mix-ups, the 2-2 series, into... give it better scaling, at least. Also, raw light Rekka, better scaling. Fix the gap in 6H and, you know, into light Rekka, because that still even has a gap. So, also, by the way, they did try to fix Videl a tiny bit with 6H being invincible to Ki Blasts. Now that's really good, and that's cooler level good, but now that's a big problem. Or that it's just not as good, because it's not Cooler's anti-air property move. Then here, we also need to fix her damage. She needs damage buffs. Big time. If I'm spending EX for the EX Rekka starter, I want to see big damage off of it. If I'm doing medium, I want to see better damage off of it. And this is another, like, little issue I have, is that the medium follow-up is the cross-up immediately. She needs to make it, Arxis needs to make it so that it is, the light follow-ups all the way around. So then, I'm gonna quickly turn off this, play recording. So that once she gets that hit, it doesn't stop there. You know, you get more damage because you're doing the medium version of the Rekka follow-ups, right? And then you can also then have at the end the crossover thing, right? Then you get more damage off of it. Or if you have to, make it EX, because then it would make sense here. And then, so now she's doing a lot more damage, right? And then maybe lowered the startup on maybe her light command grab, but even then that's a stretch. It's like plus it's 23. That's barely reactable, but that's still pretty good for a command grab. But just buff overall damage. She really needs the damage buff. And then the last thing I can only think of is, and this is kind of like my own kind of little wish list thing as well, is that they gave her a 236S. She doesn't have a 236S. She only has Gohan call in. And, oh, also, I forgot to mention, speaking of Gohan, sorry, I didn't say how they would rectify replacing the now 6S into Reflect. In the games, they wanted to, so Arxis wanted to keep true to the original, right? So Videl isn't the strongest character. That also meant that she couldn't technically reflect Ki Blast. In fact, she has none, and especially in this game. In Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I believe, she has a Ki Blast attack that only goes like 5 inches away from her, if I remember, like screen distance. So it's really pitiful. And in this game, she has none whatsoever, and she has Gohan do it, and that's, you know, based on the movies that Great Saiyaman appears in, and as well as the show in the manga. Well, to give her a reflect, make Gohan reflect. Make Gohan appear, make him reflect it away, and then he disappears. Simple as that. Still frame 1, and so then now Videl has the issue of reflect solved, and you just have to animate the already Great Saiyaman model in the game. I know it's still a pain, but you need to do it. And as well, for Videl, she also needs that 236S, like I said, where it's calling Gohan in and he does a beam. He should do the Kamehameha, because we see Great Saiyaman Gohan do the Kamehameha, and they did that in her level 3 super that's on Wake Up, but that's not enough, in my opinion. She just lacks that one thing in neutral, and a beam would solve that problem instead of this, which, yes, you can cancel it at any point, and he comes out pretty fast, so now you're jailing them pretty efficiently. But I feel like this egg gets beamed out by... Okay, so now, if I play it here in the first screen, maybe it might now, so I could get punished for it, or in cases like this, if I time it right, I get exploded for it, because Gohan gets hit and then I'll get hit also. So now, this is the problem, right? She needs I don't think, she doesn't need to have it. I think it just would be a nice addition as well. And also, if you're having trouble thinking of a reflect animation for Great Saiyaman Gohan, just make it where he catches the bullets. And just, that could just be it. It looks like he's trying to catch, you know, the Ki Blast, but of course it's just a reflect. Or, you know, it's obviously going to be small from that, right? So that makes sense though, because it would still just work out, because Hit and Android 21 have small reflects, and also Android 18, I believe. So it doesn't matter. A reflect's a reflect, and so you're going to do just fine, and quite honestly, better off than this spot dodge. So to quickly recap, Videl is a okay point character if you have both assists and bar, and you could get a 2M starter. Otherwise, everything else about her sucks. And we talked about how to fix that by giving her a proper reflect, giving her better frame data, giving her more damage, giving her possibly a beam special attack, and also just changing possibly the Rekkas and how they work. I have been FGC Nerd, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell icons. It really helps my channel out. And I'll see you guys in the next discussion video, which might be... if I had to guess, I'm going to pick Gotenks for the next one, because I think he's actually a lot of fun, and I've been experimenting with him for a little bit now. Until then, guys, bye!